In March of 2014, a story sent a shockwave through the world of Canadian hockey. After days of frantic searching, 20-year-old prospect Terry Trafford was found dead inside his truck. He was a player in the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League, a grueling league that serves as the final stepping stone to the professional dream. He was beloved by his teammates and adored by fans for his infectious smile and his relentless, hard-nosed style of play. So, what could push a young man, standing on the very doorstep of his dream, to such a tragic end? How could the silence inside his own mind become more deafening than the roar of thousands of fans? The story of Terry Trafford is more than just the story of one athlete. It's a painful cautionary tale about the invisible pressures that can crush a dream. The world of major junior hockey is a unique and brutal kind of paradise. It's a place where teenage boys, some as young as 16, leave their homes and families to chase a singular, all-consuming dream: the National Hockey League. They move to new cities, live with host families known as billets, and dedicate their entire existence to the sport. They are local celebrities, heroes to young fans, and they live under a microscope, their every success and failure magnified. The Ontario Hockey League, or OHL, is the pinnacle of this world. It's a legendary league that has produced some of the greatest players in history, names like Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and Connor McDavid. To play in the OHL is to be one step away from the NHL. The pressure is immense. The stakes are astronomical. Every game is an audition, every practice a test. You are a commodity, an asset, and your value is judged by your toughness, your skill, and your unwavering commitment to the team. It was in this intense environment, caught between immense pressure and life-changing promise, that Terry Trafford would define himself. Born in Toronto in 1994, Terry's life, like so many Canadian kids, revolved around the rink. He learned to skate almost as soon as he could walk, with his father, Roy, a constant presence by his side. Roy wasn't just a father. He was Terry's first coach, his mentor, the one who taught him the fundamentals of the game in cold, early morning arenas. He grew up playing in the highly competitive Greater Toronto Hockey League, the GTHL, a system that is essentially a factory for future hockey stars. It's a world of intense pressure from a very young age, with parents investing tens of thousands of dollars and scouts already watching 10-year-olds. From early on, it was clear Terry wasn't the kind of flashy, effortless talent who dominated the score sheets. Instead, he built his game on a foundation of pure grit. He was the kid who would battle for every loose puck, who would bravely stand in front of a blistering slap shot, who understood that relentless hard work was his only path forward. He learned to love the grind. He embraced the identity of the guy who would do anything and sacrifice anything for his team. This fighting spirit is what got him noticed. In 2010, the Saginaw Spirit selected Terry in the 10th round of the OHL Priority Selection Draft, 193rd overall. For perspective, the draft only has 15 rounds. Being a 10th round pick is a long shot. It's a maybe. It means the team sees potential, but there are no guarantees. You're not a prize prospect. You're a project. You have to claw and fight for everything. For Terry, though, hearing his name called after hours of waiting was the only thing that mattered. It was a validation of all the early mornings, all the bumps and bruises, all the sacrifices his family had made. At just 17, he packed his bags and moved from the familiar, sprawling metropolis of Toronto to Saginaw, Michigan, a tough, blue-collar American city, ready to fight for his spot on the team. This move meant entering the unique world of the billet system. For many OHL players, their billet family becomes their lifeline. These are local families who volunteer to open their homes to these young athletes, giving them a room, meals, and a semblance of home life. Terry moved in with the Confront family, who embraced him as one of their own. They weren't just landlords, they were his surrogate parents in Saginaw. They washed his laundry, made sure he ate, and were there to talk to after a tough game or a long road trip. This system is crucial because the life of an OHL player is a relentless, exhausting grind. Imagine a day in the life of Terry Trafford. He'd wake up before dawn for a 7 a.m. practice, a grueling session of skating drills and systems work. From the rink, he'd rush to a local high school, trying to focus on algebra or history, while his body ached. He was an outsider in the classroom, the hockey player, separated from the normal social lives of his classmates. After school, it was back to the arena for video sessions, team meetings, or intense workouts in the gym. Then home to his billet family for dinner, a quick call to his parents or girlfriend, and hours of homework before collapsing into bed, only to do it all again the next day. Weekends weren't for relaxing. They were for long bus rides across Ontario and Michigan, playing 3 games in 3 nights. It's a professional schedule imposed on a teenager's body and mind. His rookie season, 2011 to 2012, was a trial by fire under this grueling routine. He was a fringe player at the bottom of the depth chart, fighting just to get into the lineup. He dressed for only 36 of the team's 68 games, scoring a single goal. But another statistic told the story of how he was earning his place: 46 penalty minutes. Terry quickly established himself as the team's enforcer. He became known for his fearlessness. Let's paint a picture. Saginaw's star scorer gets hit late by an opposing defenseman. The arena buzzes. Before a coach even has to say a word, Terry is over the boards. He skates directly to the offender. There's a brief, tense exchange, and then the gloves come off. For the next minute, it's a whirlwind of raw aggression, a dance of brute force that is both a part of the game's code and a spectacle for the crowd. Terry would often take more punches than he gave, but that didn't matter. He would skate to the penalty box, bruised but proud, having done his job. He had protected his teammate. He showed he would sacrifice his body for the team. That's how you earn respect. Over the next 2 seasons, that respect grew into leadership. He wasn't just the tough guy anymore. He was the indispensable heart and soul of the Saginaw Spirit. He became a regular in the lineup, a key penalty killer trusted by the coaches in critical defensive situations. In the 2012 to 2013 season, he played in all 68 games, and his point totals jumped to 14 goals and 11 assists, a testament to his developing offensive game. He was evolving. He was named an alternate captain, a rare honor for a player who wasn't a high draft pick. The A on his jersey symbolized his journey. It showed that he was a leader not because of raw talent, but because of his character. He was the first player to arrive at the rink and the last one to leave. In a world that can be cliquey, Terry was the glue, the one organizing team dinners, the one making sure the quiet 16-year-old rookie felt like a part of the family. His infectious, goofy grin was a constant source of light. He truly embodied what it meant to be a spirit. But as his importance to the team grew, so did an invisible, crushing pressure. Terry had been passed over in the NHL draft in both 2012 and 2013. The 2013 to 2014 season was his overage year. In the world of junior hockey, this is the final frontier. As a 19-year-old, turning 20, this was the end of the line. There were no more second chances. OHL teams are only allowed to carry 3 overage players. The competition for these spots is fierce. It is your absolute final opportunity to impress an NHL team enough to earn a professional contract, even a minor league one. The weight of that reality is immense. For an overage player, there is no next year. This was it. Every shift feels like it could be the one that makes or breaks your entire life's dream. Every turnover, every missed assignment is magnified. You see the scouts in the stands with their clipboards and stopwatches, and you know you're being judged. Adding to that, by 2014 was the pressure of social media. After a bad game, players would be met with a barrage of anonymous criticism from fans on Twitter or Facebook, calling them useless or telling them their dream was dead. For a young man already struggling with his own self-doubt, this public judgment could be brutal, and here we must talk about the battle no one saw. For years, Terry had been quietly fighting depression. It's a cruel and silent illness, and one that exists in direct opposition to the hyper-masculine, suck-it-up culture of hockey. In a world where you're taught to play through the pain, admitting to mental or emotional struggles is often seen as a sign of weakness. For a player like Terry, whose entire identity and value were tied to his reputation for toughness and leadership, admitting he was hurting was almost unthinkable. How could the team's heart, its warrior, admit that he was broken inside? His family knew he had his struggles. He had sought help in the past. He had also found stability and happiness in his long-term relationship with his girlfriend, Sky Sieschlak. But the do-or-die stakes of his overage season created a perfect storm. The pressure to perform, to be the leader, to finally get that pro contract was immense. He was carrying the weight of his own dreams and the dreams of his family on his young shoulders, and he was doing it, for the most part, in silence. In late February of 2014, with the playoffs just around the corner, Terry broke a team rule. The team has never publicly specified the violation, only that it was not drug-related or criminal. It was reportedly for having a guest, his girlfriend, in his billet home, which was against team policy. For this infraction, the team suspended him indefinitely and sent him home to Toronto to reevaluate his commitment. For any player, being sent home is a serious blow. But for Terry, in the midst of his critical final chance season, it was devastating. It was more than just a punishment. It felt like a final rejection. The language used, reevaluate his commitment, must have felt like a dagger. His commitment was the one thing no one had ever questioned. It was the foundation of his entire career. The very identity he had worked so hard to build, the leader, the heart of the team, was suddenly in jeopardy. He drove the long, lonely hours from Saginaw back to Toronto, his mind reeling. The physical silence in that car was filled with the deafening noise of his own thoughts, failure, shame, and the end of a dream. When he got home, he was distraught. He spoke with his father, who tried to reassure him that they would sort it out. But Terry was inconsolable. He felt his dream was over. The depression that he had kept at bay for so long began to surge, amplified by the shame and fear he now felt. The tough exterior he had so carefully maintained began to completely crumble. This is where the story turns from a tale of a struggling athlete to a human tragedy. On the morning of Monday, March 3rd, 2014, Terry Trafford left his family's home. He told his father he was going to the bank and would be right back. He never returned. His family, growing increasingly worried, tried to call him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. They reported him missing. Immediately, a wave of concern spread through the hockey community. The Saginaw Spirit organization, his teammates, and fans began sharing his photo on social media, pleading for any information. The hashtag #Pray for Trafford started trending. It was a modern-day search party, fueled by the hope that their beloved teammate was just blowing off steam, that he would turn up, flash that goofy grin, and everything would be okay. His girlfriend, Sky, was frantic. She began releasing some of the last text messages he had sent her, and they were heartbreaking. They revealed a young man in deep, profound pain. In one message he wrote, "I don't want to be here anymore. My life is a joke." In another, he told her where to find birthday and anniversary gifts he had already bought for her. His final message to her was a simple, chilling sentence: "Goodbye, I love you." These messages painted a terrifying picture. This wasn't just a player upset about a suspension. This was a cry for help from someone who had lost all hope. He had left a final, poignant letter for his family. In it, he wrote about the overwhelming and unbearable pain of his depression, a battle he felt he could no longer fight. He wrote, "I know you will be disappointed, and you have every right to be. Please know that this is not your fault. I was fighting a battle that I just couldn't win." For 8 days, his family, friends, and the entire hockey world held their breath. They hoped. They prayed. His father, Roy, drove around Toronto tirelessly, checking all of Terry's favorite spots, desperate for a sign. The team in Saginaw was a mess. They had to keep playing games, but their minds and hearts were elsewhere. His empty stall in the locker room was a constant, painful reminder. Then, on the afternoon of Tuesday, March 11th, the search came to a tragic end. A worker at a Walmart in Saginaw, Michigan, the very city where he played, where he had chased his dream, noticed a truck that had been parked in the lot for several days. Inside, police found the body of Terry Trafford. He had driven all the way back to Saginaw. He had taken his own life. He was just 20 years old. The news was a gut punch to everyone who knew him, and to thousands who only knew him as number 24. The silence that followed was thick with grief, shock, and 1,000 unanswered questions. How could this happen? How could a young man so loved, with so much to live for, feel so alone? Immediately, the conversation turned to the team's handling of the situation. The controversy was unavoidable, and painful. Did the Saginaw Spirit do enough? Was sending him home, a player they knew had past struggles, in the most pressure-filled year of his life, the right decision? His father, Roy, in the depths of his own unimaginable grief, publicly questioned the team's actions. He felt the punishment was too severe, that the team had failed in its duty of care. He said, "They're not just hockey players, they're kids. You have to know who you're dealing with." He believed that if the team had understood the depth of Terry's depression, they might have handled the situation differently. The team, for its part, was devastated. The organization stated they were following league protocol and that they were unaware of the severity of his mental health struggles. In a statement, they said, "We are a family and we are grieving. Terry is a son, a brother, and a cherished member of our Spirit family." There were no easy answers. There was no single cause. It was a tragedy born from a perfect storm, a rigid system of rules, a culture that discourages emotional vulnerability, and a young man's silent, private battle with a devastating illness. There is no single person or event to blame for what happened to Terry Trafford, but his death exposed a deep, systemic issue within the culture of junior hockey. It forced a reckoning. It ripped the cover off the unspoken truth that these young athletes, who are idolized for their physical toughness, are often suffering in silence. His death became a tragic but powerful catalyst for change. In the wake of the tragedy, the Canadian Mental Health Association and the Ontario Hockey League partnered to create a new, comprehensive mental health program. It was named Talk Today. Launched in the fall of 2014, the program is dedicated to providing mental health education and support to every player, coach, and staff member in the league. It aims to teach them how to recognize the signs of mental distress in themselves and in their teammates, and it provides a direct link to mental health coaches and support services in every OHL community. It was a monumental step forward, a direct consequence of a terrible loss. Terry's story forced an entire sport to confront a topic it had long ignored. It started a conversation that was years overdue. The historical significance of Terry Trafford's story is not found in his on-ice statistics. It's found in the legacy of awareness he left behind. He has become a symbol, a tragic reminder of the human cost of a culture that prioritizes performance over well-being. His death may have saved the lives of other young players who, because of the Talk Today program and the increased awareness, felt they could finally speak up about their own struggles. He changed the game in a way he never could have imagined. So, where does that leave us? What do we take away from the life and death of a young man who just wanted to play hockey? Terry's story teaches us that the heaviest burdens aren't carried on the shoulders, but silently, inside the mind. That toughness is not about the absence of pain, but about the courage to face it. And that courage sometimes means asking for help. Terry Trafford's story is a heartbreaking reminder that behind every athlete, behind every jersey, there is a human being, a person with hopes, fears, and vulnerabilities. He was more than just a grinder, more than just number 24. He was a son, a boyfriend, a friend, and a teammate. He was a young man with a goofy grin and a heavy heart, who loved a game that didn't always know how to love him back. The next time you're in an arena and you hear that quiet sound of skates on ice, think of Terry. Think of the dream he chased so fiercely and the silent battle he fought so bravely. His story doesn't end with his death. It continues in every conversation about mental health in sports, in every young player who feels safe enough to say, "I'm not okay." It continues because we choose to remember him, not for how he died, but for the heart he showed while he lived, and the crucial conversation his tragic silence finally forced us all to have.